did want to visit with you a minute about the new directions that the Restorative Justice Ministries has taken in our association. I know our community ministries team has just finished doing a big study, lots of research, lots of meetings and talking, and I was curious to hear how that's coming out.
Well, I'm excited to share with you. Restorative justice is a term that may be unfamiliar to many of our people. It's a term that's been used for several years now in a larger setting, but for us it's not been used because for many years our efforts in the community have been really confined to a jail ministry, in which we would have volunteers from our churches on Sunday afternoon go in and essentially preach to the inmates at the McLennan County Jail on Highway 6.
Okay.
Back several months ago, we began to study the community, study the needs in the community, look at what we've done in the past, and realize that there's a much larger conversation that we've really not been a part of. And we'd like to be a part of that conversation. In fact, I'm really glad to tell you, Tim, that we are now, at least at the table, with the people that are discussing these really significant issues that is a complex mosaic of issues, but really they're ones that we can't ignore.
Yeah. Well, just kind of in bullet-like fashion, what are the different facets of a restorative justice ministry or conversation?
Okay, one of the things that when we say restorative justice, we're wanting to say an inclusive approach to ministry that doesn't just see the offender who's behind bars that we go and we preach the gospel to, but to realize that one day that person is perhaps going to be released. And what do we do with the now ex-offender? They have issues of housing, they have issues of employment, training for employment. They have family members that may or may not have been faithful with them through that process. So there is a larger set of issues that then impact all the other resources that are available in the community, and especially now with diminishing budget on the state and federal level. This is going to fall back on the church more than it has been for many, many years.
Yeah, and there are people involved in the criminal justice system all around us, in all of our communities, aren't there? I mean, between the officials that work in the system and the victims and the offenders and ex-offenders and all that. So it's a very large kind of population in our area.
It is, and it would be difficult to find any of our families in our Baptist churches that are not touched in some way with this restorative justice set of issues.
So what is the community ministries team going to propose as far as what the WRBA ought to be doing or will be doing in the area of restorative justice?
Well, one thing we will do is continue our jail ministry in McLennan County. We're going to be more intentional about orientation for those that would volunteer. We want to be more intentional about getting more volunteers, because right now we really have a small number of people from our Baptist churches that are plugging into that opportunity, which is a wonderful opportunity of sharing Christ's hope. So we want to really do a better job with the jail ministry, but beyond that, we have planned and are conducting our first conference to raise awareness of the enormous potential that individuals and faith-based communities have to engage these issues and make a difference. That's going to be May the 7th. It's going to be held on the campus of Baylor University in the Mayborn Museum. It's 9 to noon. A box lunch to follow. It's free of charge.
Oh, great.
And this is, I'm excited, it's a collaborative effort between the Waco Regional Baptist Association, the Institute for Studies of Religion at Baylor, the Center for Ministry Effectiveness and Educational Leadership at Baylor, and the Restorative Justice Ministry Network of Texas.
Awesome. Well, that's so nice of y'all to do that for me on my birthday, May 7th. And, you know, all this big party and the free meal. I never had a party that big before.
It's all about you, Tim.
I thought it was.
April Fools.
So what is, go ahead, tell me more about the Restorative Justice Ministry.
That conference is May the 7th, but it's really the springboard for a larger 2-day conference we've already scheduled for September the 30th and October 1st.
Okay.
in these conferences, we're bringing in key personalities that can share with expertise and experience the kind of issues that we need to be aware of and that we need to grapple with on the local level.
These are really top shelf people from what I've been able to see on the programs and so forth. Folks that are recognized nationwide as leaders in understanding what's going on in the criminal justice system and our communities related to that and how to prevent recidivism. What is just one of the main speakers here coming up in the May meeting?
Well, the first speaker is going to be Dr. Byron Johnson, who is the director of the Institute for Studies in Religion at Baylor. Is just releasing a new book called More God, Less Crime, and he'll be the first speaker. There'll be a respondent to his presentation who is from the Northern Illinois University Center for Governmental Studies. He's making a long trip to be with us in Waco, Texas.
Yeah.
Our second presenter is going to be Belinda Honey, and she's an ex-offender. And she'll be sharing from a very personal experience these issues. And respondents will be William Siegman, who's the Director of Adult Probation for McLennan County, and Nilsa Latimer, who is the Director of the House Where Jesus Shines, which is one of the efforts in McLennan County of providing housing for ex-offenders. The last presenter is going to be Mike Doyle. Mike is the CEO of Cornerstone Assistance Network in Fort Worth. And he's going to be presenting a model to consider, a model of how we could go about addressing these issues in a more intentional way. And we're excited the respondents to that will be Elizabeth Darling, who is the director of the One Star Foundation, the governor's faith-based initiative in Texas, and Virginia Dupuy, former mayor of Waco.
Awesome. So how do people get in touch with you, or who do they get in touch with if they want to volunteer at the county jail on Sunday afternoons, or if they want more information about these conferences?
It would be very easy to contact us by phone. You can contact me by email, or you can go to our website and you'd find there the appropriate links to contact us to get more information. And we would be glad to share with you how you can register online for this particular conference in May, and how you could become a volunteer in the jail ministry of McLennan County, and many other initiatives that will be coming out of this task force and these conferences.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Appreciate you sharing with me.